Hey, it's Lenny Schmidt, Tuesday night, Total Schmidt Show. Eric Blake this week from LA, from South Central, from LA, man. He's an LA comic. He's been around a long time. I dropped something. Comic View, etc. Buckle up. Hey, welcome to the Total Schmidt Show. Whether you're watching on the Lenny Schmidt Comedy Network on YouTube or you're listening on podcasts, we have a new intro, new theme song. Let's do this. Hey, tune in every week as I travel the world and I talk to entertainers from all over the world. A lot of writers, a lot of comics, a lot of dancers, a lot of singers, a lot of comics, a lot of producers, a lot of tech people, a lot of comics, a lot of piano player type people. You know what I'm talking about. Musicians and lots of comics. Every once in a while, we'll throw in a comedy sketch, something like that, some music, some travel stuff. We'll even do a live remote from one or two of the ports they happen to be hanging out at. That's it. That's the whole show. And I'm going to record it all and put it on the intraweb. Sometimes. Usually late. Always late. Maybe. I don't know. And weekly? No. Maybe. Sort of. Either way, sit back, grab a beer, light a joint, and enjoy this week's episode of Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Total Schmidt Show. Do me a favor, if you can, look above me, above my two fingers. There's some information, like social media information and my YouTube information. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. First of all, just hit a little thumbs up. It's right below me. Hit thumbs up. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. We're here every Tuesday on YouTube talking to entertainers all over the world, and the day after we go up as a podcast. And if you're listening to the podcast, welcome. Thank you very much. Subscribe to the podcast, as a matter of fact, if you do that for me. This week, I worked with a man by the name of Eric Blake, who I haven't met before, but we met this week, and I got to work with him. He's a great comic, great storyteller. He's been around a while. And we had dinner, and we talked about everything I like to talk about. It's being a stand-up, the business, and the fact he's married. He's got 4 kids. He's been married for years. And one thing that always intrigued me was he got married and started doing stand-up afterwards, and his wife was cool with it and took the journey with him for him to become a successful comic. That's awesome to me. I think that's very cool. It's a huge testament to him, her, and the marriage. It's not easy to do, man, but they did it. He's a great guy, great comic, a lot of fun. Sit back, enjoy my good friend, the one and only Eric Blake. All right, we're on, man. Yeah, dude, I didn't ask you to do it right away because I got to talk to a guy first. Yeah. You know what I mean? I've made that mistake once where I'm like, you want to do the podcast? And they're like, yeah. And then I get 5 minutes in and I go, fuck.
Who was this motherfucker?
What the fuck was I doing? That's fucking bad. So halfway through dinner, I was not even halfway through dinner. I was like, fucking, this is perfect, man.
Oh, man, cool.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, dude.
Oh, for sure.
We're doing the show. I know we're going to have shit going on during the day.
Right.
But and this is my first time working with you on the ship, bro.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. I've been doing the ship almost 2 years now.
2?
Yeah.
Right on. Do you like it?
I love it and I hate it. It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, no, I hear
you. Know what I mean? It's like some dudes is just, they world warriors and that's what they do. Yeah. And some of us still have hope. Hoping some shit work out. Oh, man. Oh, yeah.
Just why I do this shit. I try to keep my head low and keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I've learned to use the shows to like work on new material and be able to do the shows.
Right.
The only thing that I don't like about the ships, the biggest thing I don't like about the ships, is like I was just reading an article about Rogan and his new club in Austin.
Oh, okay.
And there is a limit on some of the material you can do on here. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a total limit, especially when it comes to like trans talk and stuff that's going on in the world right now. I mean, you can't really get, you get too far one way. It's basically a big corporate gig. You get one complaint for the right person. Right. You got to deal with it.
Yeah, I think it's hard, even now with the N-word thing going on, and we talked about that and how I felt about that. I mean, I really feel that a comic should be able to say what he wants to say, as long as he's saying it and it's funny,
right?
And we're not the judge; the audience the judge. Did the audience laugh? And if it's an N-word, did black people in the audience laugh?
Right.
Those are the things that people have to look at when we're doing this. But this is like a corporate gig, and they don't want you to say it. You can't fucking say it. It's just that.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
Dude, I didn't get a chance to look over the book but I looked through parts of it. Dude, it's a brilliant idea. It's great.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, a little bit. I read a little bit about a halfway house and not a lot, but I didn't get through. I mean, I just got it last night, so I didn't have an opportunity to go through it. So I apologize.
Okay. No worries.
Dude, it's a really smart idea, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Like I said, I try to keep different irons in the fire and do things that are different and things that are set me apart from other comics.
Yeah.
Not that I'm just trying to be this unique dude, but I just want to do things that are different and try to blaze different trails that, you know, make me feel unique, you know?
Right.
Even when I did the DVD thing years ago, and I was telling you about that, I did a DVD in 98, 97, and it's just the hustle in me. Like, okay, well, if they're doing that, let me do this type of thing. And then when the book came across, and I started off wanted to do a one-man show. That's why you'll see the Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
Right.
I started to just put it in whole book form, but I liked it the way it sounded. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and stuff like that.
Right.
So I just left it in that form because it just sounded and it kind of flowed better for me.
Yeah, plus it's creative, dude. It's a creative read.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a good way to do chapters and stuff.
Right. Just to give you an idea of where I was. But it's a cool book. I put my heart and soul in it.
Yeah, that's smart, dude. You told me you're working on another one now. You started to put that one together.
Yeah, I'm working on about fathers, man. I want to talk about fathers from my point of view. That fathers are not. It's called The American Dad is Handcuffed. You know, we don't get a chance to be dads like other nationalities get to be dads, and I think that that's another thing I'm just passionate about. That I'm a dad and not having a father in my life. And had to kind of wing it on my own. Bro, I didn't even know how to tie a tie until I was 27 years old. That's bad.
Dude, I didn't have it. My dad was gone when I was young too, man. So
right. So you missed out on some things that you know didn't make sense till you got older that you didn't know how to do. You know?
But that feeds you though. Like that's why the divorce fucked me up so much. It's like I got divorced.
Right.
My whole vision was to be a good family man. Like my family was a train wreck growing up.
Right.
My mom, my dad, everything was just a mess, and it just didn't go well. So when I had the kids, man, like that was one thing that intrigued me about you. You get 4 kids, you're on the road. That's the hardest juggle, man. And I wasn't on the road when I had the kids, but when the divorce came, it messed up my head because it fueled me. It seems like when you come from a shitty family, you go one of 2 directions.
Right.
You're shitty or you're not shitty.
Right.
Like, and you're to the extreme on both. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you went through, you're like, oh, my kids go through the same crap I went through.
Exactly. And that's the goal of a parent. You don't want them to go through the shit.
You're listening. Kind of your job is to give them a better life than you had. That's the whole. That's how we're supposed to get better.
Right.
You know?
Right. And then shit like that happens. I was a little afraid of taking on a family before I started. You know, like I said, I met my wife before I started doing comedy, so we went through the trials and tribulations of it together. And when we decided to have kids, it was scary.
Right.
Because you know you get those advices from some comics that'll tell you stuff like one dude gave me some great advice. The guy was from he was the head of UTA.
Okay.
And he was like, Eric, and I hadn't been married yet, and he was married, and he was in the entertainment business, and he was telling Eric, I was like, no, he hasn't been married, and I asked him, was he going to ever get married? For some reason, we were on a conversation. He's like, nah. He said, entertainment business is not fair to a family.
It's a good point.
Said, whoa.
Yeah.
And then even then, I got it.
Right.
But what was I to do? I was in love with someone that wanted kids, that wanted a family life, and really didn't know much about comedy. You know, neither did I. And I was learning as I went. But I learned to talk different. I learned to say, hey, you know what? This is a job. If I look at this like, you know, I'm going to a club or a career and this shit is fun, which I saw really quick that it wasn't going to be fun.
Yeah, right.
It's going to take work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there were nights I went to the club where I didn't want to go to the club. I'm like, I got to go to the club. You know what I mean? I feel like I would much rather stay home with you guys.
Right. Knowing you can't wait to get to that goddamn stage.
Yeah.
You know, in the early years was great, man. The early years was I was just so full of fire to get better and to be as good as the guys that I was seeing, you know. And then you know the kids came and it's like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna balance this, and then you know I just started working even harder. I had to have 2 jobs, you know, drive limousines. That was fun shit.
Yeah.
Driving limousines was some funny shit because I remember one time So I would always try to keep my spots. I would get a spot at the Improv, Comedy Store, Laugh Factory. So I would have to hit those rounds.
Right.
So when I had this couple in my limousine, the family, and they were taking fucking forever. And I had a spot at the Improv. So, and they're in Manhattan. And I'm like, I gotta get them the hell off this goddamn limousine. So
Yeah.
waiting for that, hurry up, I'm miss my damn spot. You know, I had it timed perfect.
Right.
And this couple getting in and they're taking their time out talking and waiting on them, being as polite as I
Yeah,
possibly
trying to on the outside cool, but inside
fucking limousine on the spot. So
you want some milk? What's an outfit? Throwing shit around.
So, bro, I don't know if you ever been in what is that, Manhattan? You know, the little hills over there by the beach.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah, yeah.
They live over in there.
Okay.
So I get them in the car, and they're in there, and I am moving, trying not to let them.
Is it big, like a stretch? Like
a big
stretch.
It's like a 10.
It's really easy to drive on those roads too, by the way. Okay. Yeah.
And I'm not going how fast I'm really going. Till I hit this bump. Boom! I look in the mirror. I see the whole family go. The lady goes, young man, you want to slow this thing down? I said, shit, I got a spot, man.
Oh. Hold on, I screwed this up.
But that's how you was when you were a young comic. You know, you remember, trying to get to that stage and trying to get better and that was the fire for me, man. And my wife, I think she loved that about me. She loved that I was dead serious.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't messing around at all.
Dude, that's impressive to me too. We talked about this a little bit, dude. The fact that your wife was with you for the journey.
For the journey.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes I debate which one's better. Like I had been doing stand-up maybe 12 years before I met my wife. I was already working on the road, headlining. There was a lot of B clubs and smaller A clubs or whatever it was. But I was working all the time. Right. But for like, you're the second guy, third guy I know off the top of my head that his wife went, okay, and let you step into a career and build comedy. You know, it's not exactly something you go to your wife with. Hey, I got an idea, baby. Here's what's gonna solve all our problems.
Yes, I need you to get a job and hold this shit down.
You pay all the bills for a little while. And then I'm gonna go hang on the club like 6-7 nights a week.
Yeah, come in the house 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Pissy fucking drunk. Can't handle that. And the real trooper goes,
this will work, sweetie.
I got you.
Yeah. I can't believe that. That's ballsy, dude. That's fucking good for her and good for both of you. Yeah, that's a cool journey, man.
It's been a cool journey, bro. I mean, like, I think I learned quick. I was like, all right, I would see a lot of my friends get together and get divorced and get together and other friends breaking. I'm like, what the holy shit. And then the kids came. I had to change the way I did comedy and the way I looked at comedy. Because I was super raw. I went through that phase. I went through the, because I would do hardcore street shit. That was just my thing. It was like, I'm coming from the streets. This is stuff that I've been through and I'm hitting hard.
Like really hard edge, real shit.
Real shit. Like, So coming off of that and then working at the Comedy Store, I changed everything. Changed everything for me because I had a very narrow mindset of comedy. Right. This is it. I'm going to be raw. I'm going to be edgy. I'm going to be this dude. Right? Mm-hmm. Then you fucking get married. Then you fall in love with someone that is, my wife's Italian from a totally different background than I'm from. Right. And then at that peak, I really thought that it's kind of like weird. You hear about the change from Richard Pryor. You hear about the change from George Carlin. George Carlin said it once that he had to learn to go from comedian to artist. Right. Right. Which was, I didn't get it when I read the book, but now I
well, shit, he reinvented himself completely.
Decade after decade.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he became the George Carlin we know in the early to mid 70s.
Yeah, right.
Before that, he was a different. He was a sketch guy, parody guy.
Straight up stick.
Yeah,
right. Type of dude.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Richard too.
Sure.
Sure,
yeah, right.
And how could two dudes go through the same metamorphosis almost at the same time? Yeah. Because again, the country was changing. Sure. Their lives were changing. Yeah. And and I'm probably sure I felt what they felt is that thing inside of me, shit started changing, bro. Yeah. Because I had a show like Comic View. I was on a show like Comic View, which is they're going to back they're gonna re-air again,
right?
Which is on BET.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that was a huge show from when it was out, bro.
Comic View
that was the shit. Yeah,
it was fire, bro.
Yeah,
70 million viewers every night.
Yep.
It was one of the highest rated television shows in comedy.
Right.
So I was one of their top ones. I would get like booked fucking everywhere, and I was peaking, bro. But inside, I was changing, and it was happening a few times. And I tell you, even in my book, I put this in the book. I got the greatest advice from two people. I got the greatest advice from Paul Mooney during that peak, and that peak was what was happening to me was. I wanted to talk more about my life and my kids and what was happening with my kids.
Right.
I mean, this is shit that was just eating at me. But here I come, this hardcore street dude off the streets of South Central Los Angeles, went through all the shit that I went through.
Yeah.
And people knowing me from that hardcore shit.
Right.
And I imagine I had a nice
following. Yeah, that's the hard part, manager.
Right.
And if you're going to change your format at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And it was very, very hard for me. And then it was like I could see when I would be on stage and I could hear the voices. You know, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about that. So I started trying my hand at it and started talking about my marriage, being married to an Italian woman, or traveling and these places that I'm going. I'm going to places I've never been before.
Right.
So I'm starting talking about these things, and the black audience kind of turned on me, and it was like. I wasn't getting the laughs that I was used to getting.
Yeah.
And then also, I was doing colleges too. So I would go do all of these white colleges all across the United States, and I would have to adapt to them.
No, I was going to say, were you doing the colleges with your street view, or were you? That was the part that was adapting.
That was the part that was also adapting.
Yeah, it's got to be with the colleges, because that's not exactly a market for
exactly.
college, right?
But this is in the middle of the change.
Sure,
and it's literally fucking with me. Like,
well, you're maturing as a comic too.
Exactly.
And you're maturing as a man and a comic all at the same time.
Exactly, bro.
You know what I mean? So it all meshes all together.
Right. And that's what I mean. The life. You know what I mean? Your life is changing on the outside, and so as it is on the inside.
Well, you know what? It should, because your life with me.
Right.
My act is a reflection of my life.
Exactly.
And I try to connect with the audience on that basis.
Right.
That was the comedy that inspired me.
Right.
Louis Anderson, Sam Kinison, even prior.
Right.
It was the same prior. It was about real shit you went through.
Right.
And you would go, oh shit, I went through that.
Right.
And to me, that turned me on as a viewer. And that's what I wanted to do as a comic.
Right.
So when you get older, when you're doing, like you're talking about, the older you get, the more you're maturing, your life is changing. You're just learning how to interpret those things and say those things and be true to yourself. So that help you become who you are, and it's part of your building block.
Exactly, and I love you said true to yourself, right?
Yeah.
So it was a guy. I met this older white gentleman, and I talk about him on stage, and it's in one of my jokes. That's why I put him in the joke. Mm-hmm. So there's a joke about being in Squim, Washington. I said,
Oh yeah, you talked about this. Okay.
Yeah, with the guy in the wheelchair and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right. That guy was actually guy I had.
This is a true story.
It's a true story. But I actually had a conversation with him. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it was so cool. And I kind of changed it a bit, but I did see him sitting in Burger King.
Yeah.
And he was just sitting alone. And this is in Squim, bro. I'm in Squim, not knowing how I'm gonna relate to this audience or whatever. I mean, I'm already killing. I'm already killing these rooms.
Yeah.
But I'm inside. I would see like black people look at me weird now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They wouldn't. You know how you kill and everybody. Oh man, you were so funny and blah 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 blah. And then black people would look at me like sellouts type of shit.
Right.
You know that they weren't saying it, but I could feel it.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't they come and tell me I did a good job?
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My own people, because these are the people that would see me on that show, Comic View.
Right.
And they see me doing all of this raw shit.
Right.
And then they see me doing stuff that, you know, wasn't as raw, maybe, you know, typical family, you know,
a little more straight, maybe not necessarily clean, but at least definitely a little more mainstream sort of.
Yes, yeah. Because I just, it was just fighting inside to get out.
Right.
So that guy, I met that old guy. He was in Burger King, and I walked by, and I did something for him. I helped him out with something, and he said, "Oh, thank you, young man." And then he was sitting there, and I said, "You all right, sir?" He said, "Yeah, I'm fine. You know, I just lost my wife of 50-something years, and you know, I'm just here, just you know, doing whatever he was doing, you know, Burger King, you know, trying to get through it." So I'm like, "Wow, 50 years," and get into this conversation. So then he's like, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I'm here doing comedy. I'm going through a weird paradox in my comedy. Maybe you can help me out. You know, just a random person.
Oh, really? You did that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he said, well, shoot it. I said, you're familiar with stand-up comedy? He's like, yeah, I like, he liked it, Bob Hope and comics that I happen to study and knew. And
of course,
we talk about
the
these
olders.
People. Right. So I said to him, I said, well, I'm going through this change. You know, here I'm this guy, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then here I have this family life that's happening and my kids are young and this is happening. I want to talk about this stuff. And I talk about this stuff on stage. And he said exactly what you said. He said, well, you need to be true to yourself first. Yeah. He said, if you're true to yourself, then don't worry about it. Yeah. Right? That's all that matters when you get off the stage. I don't know much about comedy. He said, but that's all that matters when you've been true to yourself, right? So I said, okay, cool, that's great advice. Still fucking with me. Still like up there because I want black people, I wanted them to approach me like they used to. Right. You know, wanting, hey man, what's your name? All this shit. So I go to the store one night and I talk to Paul, and Paul put it in perspective. Yeah. So I always knew that I would see Paul kill at the comedy store. Yeah. Like he would fucking annihilate an audience. Then I would see Paul go to, I'm just gonna put this in here. Yeah, go ahead, man. I would see Paul go to, and then I would see Paul in an urban room. Right. You know, kind of tweaking the shit that he's saying or working on some new material. Right. I'm like, what the fuck? Paul would be at the comedy store, and then I would see him somewhere like in South Central at a little spot, little bar, little, you know, like Ronaldo Ray. I don't know if you know who that is. Yeah. In a room, and you know, Paul would come in here and crush it. Yeah. But still working on new shit. Yeah. So I asked Paul. I said, Paul, I see you in the urban rooms, and you come up here and you almost talk about the same thing, but you crush it. And you kill in both rooms. He said, oh shit, I go down there to work on my shit, and then I clean it up to bring it up. Bring it up here. That makes sense. Yeah. Right. Yeah. He said because you know they're gonna keep me honest. Yeah. There you go. That's a good point. Right. So I said, wow. So I explained. So I'm going through this little paradox with myself and explain the same situation. He goes, well, brother, I'm gonna tell you right now, that black audience is gonna crucify you. Okay. Yeah. You know, when you start talking about some shit that they ain't used to or they don't like, they're gonna crucify you. But stick with it, stay with it. He said because after the crucifixion comes the resurrection, and they're gonna love you more. That's a great point, dude. Yeah. He said they're gonna love you more. Yeah. So I stuck with it. I didn't do any of the black shows that was coming out. All my friends were blowing the fuck up, going past me, and you know, I started with the Cat Williams and the Gabriel Iglesias and all of them dudes. I was doing black and Spanish rooms. Right. And then it took a minute. It took about 7-8 years for me to really hone what I do now. Yeah. And then slowly but surely, I started to see the black audience coming back. Yeah. Watch me at the show. Oh, yeah, man, you're so funny and blah, blah, blah. And I'm glad I stuck with, you know, with the change. Yeah. I wouldn't be on these ships. Yeah. I wouldn't perform all over the world. Couldn't be able to do it. Well, it's another layer to your career and makes who you are today. And it's not, for the record, I don't think it's just black audiences. Right. When you say black audiences, it's that, like I've told the story in my podcast before. There was a club in Chicago where I used to kill. It was all black. Mm-hmm. And I used to destroy this room. I mean, I destroyed it all the time. And when Def Comedy came out, the vibe changed and that club changed. And then I couldn't buy a laugh in that place. They hated me. And the reason was it's a different style of comedy because it's not like there's plenty of black audiences that like family jokes and have grown up in that scenario. But some people prefer the humor that's more about the street and more raw than regular. However, the raw material it's not mainstream. It's not going to help you move your career forward unless you want to live in that market forever. Right. And then who knows where that can take you. It limits your TV opportunities. We wouldn't have any ship opportunities, like you said. Right. You know, it changes a lot of stuff. Right. So eventually the other black audience is going to find you. Definitely. You know what I mean? And they did. And they will in the ships for sure. Oh, definitely. They found me. I find them. Yeah, because you're still associating with people. By being true to yourself, you're going to find yourself. There's the Louis Black gave me really good advice. I worked with him years ago. And I had asked him, because he had blown, this after he blew up, I go, we were just talking, and he goes, I gotta be honest, he goes, I don't know what the fuck happened. Because I have no clue. He goes, I've been the same guy for 35 years, man. He goes, I just did my thing. He goes, I did my thing, I stuck with it, and eventually my crowd found me. He goes, that's the best way I can put it. He goes, just if you have the thing, do it. Don't change it. Don't try to change for them. You make them come to you.
And I was like, oh, yeah, that's a great point.
Right.
And I've heard that before. So you did similar to what Carlin did,
Exactly.
where you reinvented yourself,
Right.
found a different but same voice, or a voice another step forward.
Right.
And so you're going to lose some fans, but you're going to gain some fans.
Definitely, you're going to gain some fans that's being true to you. It makes it easier for me to write now.
Yeah.
It makes it easier for me to like. I'm not gonna lie. I get these shows where, like I got one coming up in Vegas, and the headliner on that is a show that I also promote in my book. And the headliner on that is this young kid. He's killing the scene as far as his status, and he's pretty funny, and he attracts a younger audience,
right? A
younger, raw, hard audience,
right? And
it's one of those things now. I'm like, okay, do I go raw? Do I go hard? Like young comics don't have no idea what it's like for headliners like you once said, have 5 shows deep.
Yeah.
And the hardest part for us when we're doing television, when we're doing a show, is what show we want to do.
Yeah, that's always the hardest. Like the shorter the set, the harder for me.
Bro,
like you got a 6-minute showcase. Like, oh, I hate a 6-minute showcase. You're trying to pick out what says me. What do I like?
Yes. I write for a lot of comics. I wrote for Mike F. I wrote for Cat Williams. I wrote for Kev. I write for Tommy.
Yeah.
Tommy I can let you see the text now. Tommy just called me, man, and he's got a showcase coming up for that Comic View show, and he wanted to go over some jokes and what I thought and all of these things, and I appreciate that. He trusts me with that.
Yeah, dude.
And I know exactly what he's going through.
Yeah, because he's a legend, dude.
He's a legend.
It's pretty cool to have a legend reach out to you.
Yeah, because the room only got 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I know it, even when he called, I got the set, when he tweaked the set, blah, 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 blah. So we're calling tweaking the set, but I'm already knowing when he called and he said he had 20 minutes. I said the hardest thing for this motherfucker right now is to pick out 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And they don't get that. You got 7 minutes, you don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You got a hard 15, 20 minutes worth of comedy. You guns blazing. That's the easiest shit in the world.
Yeah.
You win or you lose.
Yeah.
Right? You have 5 shows deep, or you can do this many shows, and you have all these shows.
Yeah.
It's like, oh fuck, what show do I do?
Yeah.
That is a nerve-wracking.
Yeah, because you want to pick the stuff that resembles you.
Right.
That's your voice. You definitely, because you can go up there, like that was my thing, you can go up there and you can kill for 20 minutes. Any one of us can kill for 20 minutes.
Yes.
In that 20 minutes, you got to show them who you are and what you say and who's going to follow you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what you look for. Every joke has got to say something about you. It can't just be funny.
Right. I think that's what the younger generation of comics is missing. Like, a lot of them want to be headliners, but don't want to do the work. And we get this all the time. I'm a headliner. Your words don't make you a headliner.
Yeah, dude, these guys, they don't have content either. We live in a day where if you got a 30-second video on the internet and you become popular, it's just because it's funny. People don't get to know who you are well enough yet. Now, some internet influencers are different, but most comics, it's not about, I've noticed that, it's not about the material. It's always, I need to start making some money.
Right.
With me, it was always about the material. I watched every comic.
Get better.
You know what I mean? It was. I would go up there and eat it, and then go home and beat myself up, and then eat it again, and beat myself up. And it wasn't trying to gain numbers; I was trying to get better. And it seems like they're trying to just go for numbers. It's not about the quality.
Right.
It's quantity, or not even quantity. It's not quality work. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Do you think that a lot of them understand that the one thing they'll never change about comedy is that the work on stage is what makes you better?
No, they'll never understand that, because you can get noticed on the internet for no work.
Right.
You can do how many internet comics have been around a year or two, and they've got like 1 million viewers or 1 million hits, and they think that's more popularity than we had as open micers starting out.
Right.
But when you were an open micer, the deal was, and I notice it now when I'm on the road, if I go to a club and I'll do a show, when I get off as a headliner, the openers or the open micers, they're gone. They're not there.
Right.
When I stayed and watched every comic.
Bro, I stayed glued.
Yeah. Every headliner that came into town, I would sit and watch every set.
Bro, I worked at the Comedy Store for 5 years.
Yeah, it's a lot of comedy, man.
Man, bro. And I tell you, I'm glad I got that in my first few years of comedy. That's what gave me my base. Is being able to understand that. I tell you, this was interesting. Mitzi said to me, she said, this when I knew comedy didn't see race, color, gender, none of that shit. Comedy is universal. It has its own language, right? And that's when I learned that at the Comedy Store. Mitzi goes, Eric, you're gonna work gay night. Okay, I want you to, get. I want you to. My job was to go in the vault, get the film, put up a certain film that like the anniversary this, which different anniversaries before the people come in, and slide that in the thing. And I'm like, game night. I don't want game night, man. I'm not gay. I'm not finna sit here and watch all these dudes. I can go up there and do all of this sick shit.
I love you.
Right?
I love you.
Yeah. But I tell you, I stood at that back door, bro, and then me being the young stupid comic I was, I sat with my back towards the stage. I'm not watching them. Fuck that.
Yeah.
And brother, one after this is when Adam Ant and all of them.
Oh yeah.
Right? All of those killers.
Right.
One after the other after the. I'm hitting one hit me with a good one. Boom, another hit me with another good one. I'm laughing and I'm like,
Jason Stewart, another one of those guys.
All of those.
Oh yeah, dude.
I turned by the third or fourth comic, I'm watching the whole entire show, fucking crying. Right. And then it hit me, man. Everybody's funny. It doesn't matter if I'm this or if I'm that or if I'm this. Those are the lessons I was learning.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm telling you, that night fucked me up. Yeah. Because they were funny, bro. One had the greatest joke. It's probably now it's probably one of those jokes that they all do, but he died of AIDS. I can't think of his name. But he was so funny, little skinny dude, fuck eyes, white guy. He was funny as shit. His open line was, so my friends asked me, have I ever kissed a parakeet? And I said no, but I kissed a cockatoo.
That's almost like a gay dad joke.
Right, bro. But they were killers, man.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see them but just sit there and listen to them and talk to them. I wanted to pick their brains. I went backstage, started talking to them and picking their brains.
Well, that's a great example of it's almost a good interpretation, kind of. That's the right word. Like, we live in such a niche society now. Like, there's so many different little markets of people now. It's no longer, if you get on NBC, I'm going to be a big star. Right. It's like, I have this podcast, I have this show, all this. The markets. Well, years ago, the homosexuals, that was almost their thing back then.
Right.
They had their own market. Talk about it, they had their own comedians, and those comedians associated with the gay audience. That's what I mean about association. You know what I mean? Like, you had the younger black crowd, and then maybe the older or different black crowd, the gay crowd. There's so many different comedy crowds. Right. That if you associate with a group of people, that group of people is going to find you. You know what I mean? Which I think that's why I fucking love this business. Right. Everybody can laugh. Like you said, everybody's funny. Right. I think I take it a step further and say everybody can laugh. Everybody. And there's nothing wrong with, just because they laugh and you don't laugh doesn't make them wrong or you wrong. Right. There's no reason to judge someone for what they think is funny. Just everybody has their own sense of humor, man.
Right. Yeah. Well, laughter is like the light switch.
Yeah.
It's involuntary.
We were talking about it the other one. It's like a sneeze, bro. Yeah. We're talking. That's the identity of it. Yeah. It's a sneeze. It's a physical reaction. Come on. If you have kids, you have your kids do something real bad, and you're like. Right. You know what I mean? Your wife's like, shut up, don't laugh. I go, I can't help it. I can't help it.
You're going to laugh.
Yeah.
That is the essence of our comedy.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm thinking, like, when you're there and you're really engaged in the comic, and he's making you laugh, that is the beauty of, like, you don't know me from Adam.
Yeah.
I think that's what brought Dave Chappelle down a notch or two, when he was so high that he couldn't be funny.
Yeah.
And you can tell when somebody's give me laughs.
Yeah.
And you can tell when you're working and people are with you.
Right.
So I think when he took that time off, that's what he experienced. He hit this peak, and then he's like, you know what? Let me take time off and come back to what I like doing and what makes me feel comfortable.
Yeah, I'm starting to get away from it.
Yeah, I don't want people to laugh just because it's me. I want people to laugh because what I'm saying is funny.
Sure, yeah.
And he's a joke smith like Carlin.
Right.
Yeah. So, I love that. I love that part of the business. And I try to emulate that. I want people to laugh with me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I follow the same format when I'm on stage, dude. I don't try to shock people or divide the room. My thing is look, another good example of that humor is Jim Gaffigan, man. He works clean. And Will Regan's the same way. But Jim associates, you connect with Jim. Right. You get it. You're like, I love a Hot Pocket. You pretty much feel what he feels. To me, that was the thing about Louis Anderson was the first guy I saw live. And I was blown away. I was like, because he had a lot of stories about eating along with his family.
Yeah.
So that hit me the right way. I was like, oh man, that's brilliant. I love that.
Wow.
You know, and it just worked.
Wow.
You know?
Wow. What is the most complicated joke you ever did, and the truest joke you ever did? Or a couple, if you have your couple.
I had the most complicated joke I just did. It was on the last recording. It's a bit about It's a bit about the safety video on American Airlines. And it took me forever to get it right. It's a long bit. It takes I want to say the whole thing together actually is 2 minutes long. Okay. Once you get it done, but it's so word sensitive that I counted it. Mm-hmm. There's 27 beats in the joke, and if I miss any of the beats, the joke doesn't get the response I want. Wow. If I hit them all, it gets an applause break every single time. Wow. And it's just me doing a video. Right. You know, sit in their seats, be careful, and so it's the difference between first class and coach. Yes. And I love it. And I might do it this week. Sometimes I do it. I did it last week and nailed it. And I'm like, I haven't done it in a while. Wow. And if you don't do it in a while, you're like, you gotta get it. It takes a while to get it right. Polish it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to write it took forever. Right. But it was just a lot. And then it's put like the word oranges in it, but it can't be more than 3 times. Wow. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's there. So I found it works really well when I don't do it for a while and I come back and just do it off the top of my head. Wow. Because then I just nail it. Right. Now you're doing it from memory. Yeah. Because the last 2 times I've done it, I've just thrown it in. Right. I've gone, I'll do the safety video. Which is better than going. Cruise control. Yeah. Right. It's better than going, I gotta do this. I gotta nail the safety thing. You know, that's the one. That's, yeah. The most honest joke, I don't do it much on the ships. They get weird when I do divorce humor on the ships. Right. But the most honest joke I do is this is probably about, I do a lot about my mom that's very honest. There's some stuff I'm doing now. I'm going to try this way. She used to sell drugs, so I do stuff about her selling drugs. Oh man, you love my book. Go ahead. But I think the best one I wrote is this might be the best joke I ever wrote. I go, it's about divorce. And I go, hey, you know, when you get divorced, they say their kids want their parents to get back together. You know, they're like, I hope mom and dad can figure this out. That'd be great. I go, not my kids. I go, my kids knew it was a train wreck. In fact, I used to threaten my kids with getting back together with my ex. Like I would walk in their room, hey, you better clean this room or your mom and I are going to give it another shot. I'm like, oh, don't do that. We're kidding. I go, I'm not kidding. Hey, do you want to spend summers as a family? Do you? That's fucking. And that's true. It's true. Right, it's fucking true. Right, yeah. Right. But I tell the joke and people are indifferent. Some people laugh. Some people laugh hard because they get it. But other people, I've noticed because I did it for a while. I did a lot of divorce shit because I went through the divorce and I still have it, but I try not to do too much of it anymore. And but people on ships, man, especially, I get more, when they talk about, you know what I mean? Yeah. I've had people come up and go, I'm sorry about the divorce. I'm like, it was 16 years ago. I'm good, man. I'm really good. But some people, you don't like, I'm working on this bit now where I can't do it this week, but perception. I talk about perception. Right. But this is a great example. Like you were talking about growing up in the hood. Right. I grew up in the suburbs, but my mom hung around with every convict in town. Like, I mean, guys would come out of stateful prison and come right to my house and they'd party with my mom. Hilarious. And my mom sold drugs and all this stuff. And she got divorced. My dad died when I was 14. My mom kicked me out. I was on my own since 18. But if you grew up in a normal family or a regular family, I know friends that have been married 15 years, they've never seen a road bump like any of that. Wow. So they can't comprehend, your mom sold pot? I was like, yeah, but she had to survive. That's she couldn't fucking, she was doing it on the side. Yeah, you know, I love, the second I saw Halfway House, I go, I'm pretty sure we're going to be it. Yeah, but people don't, and they can't, like when you get divorced, you go, why, you couldn't make it work? I go, you don't make something work. That's what I learned. I went to therapy and learned the hard way that you have to accept things and move on and grow. Right. And if you can't do that, you're forcing it. And it's terrible for the kids. It's definitely terrible. Anything fake is for the kids is terrible. Because they see it. Yeah, they fucking know. And I don't want my daughters to grow up and to be in an empty relationship because I showed them one. The greatest joke I think I wrote, and I watched it develop over a process, and I do it in my bits now. Well, I wrote a lot of good ones, but this one for me is because it happened and it affected me, and I think so many men identify with it. Right. And the joke is called "Let the Men Teach the Boys." Okay. Let the men teach the boys. And I got into it with my wife. This shit started in my household, and my wife said something about her mother didn't want to come over to our house because she don't like the way I talk to the kids. Wait, you talk to the kids? Yeah, the way I talk to the kids. Okay. You know, I'm like, you know, stop fucking around. Right. Get your shit together.
You know, that
Right.
type of shit, you know.
Right.
Her mother don't like it. Well, first of all, you're in my fucking house. Okay, I don't give a shit what you like or don't like. Anyway,
Right.
so once my wife said that, I noticed that my wife started watching me different with my kids. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like one of those things, like I'm never abusive. I'm not a dad that go in there and just beat the shit out of my kids with, you know, when they fucking anything.
Right.
No, hey, I don't even have to say shit twice.
Right.
And it probably get done. So my son, he got older. I'm giving my son the business, right? And the way I do my son is I come in the room and talk to you. He's my height. Now and no more spanking. It's you're gonna get this right, or maybe you're gonna find out which one is the man in this goddamn house.
Right.
So I put him in the room and I'm talking to him, giving him the business about something. Now mind you, my son is my height.
Yeah.
So I'm like, motherfucker, whatever it is, I was giving him the business about. I come out, my wife is by the door and just stalled her. Oh,
she was listening.
Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? She goes, I'm just making sure you don't hurt him. I said, this motherfucker is 18 years old.
Oh, that's kind of shit.
Have I ever fucking hurt him?
Yeah. Right.
Secondly, you know what? I was so mad and so angry, I didn't know what to do. You know, I just kind of walked off, and it bothered me and bothered me and bothered me. So I wrote the joke, let the boys teach the men. Ladies, let the boys teach the men. And this joke, I didn't know what it was going to do until I got to doing it on stage and kind of working it out. And I had to play with this joke. I had to get this joke, like, fine-tuned.
Right.
And then once I started getting those beats, as you say, I was knocking. Then I said, oh, I got something here. And you know you got something as a comic when people approach you after the show and, hey, I like the joke about such. Hey, man, you said.
Yeah, right.
And when you hear that, you're like, okay, that, let me.
Yeah, you got this. That one joke. You're telling me something about.
Let me expand.
Right.
So I expand. I got this joke fine-tuned, bro. And this joke is the most beautiful joke I ever wrote because it gave me redemption.
Right.
Right. And mind you, I'm probably about 2 years in, and my wife is from Denver. And my wife hadn't seen this joke. Right. So her mother and her mother's friends and all of them come to the show. And I was with Tommy. So it's packed.
Right.
You know, packed.
Yeah, right.
And bro, I already been murdering the shows. I'm already know. I'm like, oh, when they get in there and they see this motherfucker. Right. So the mom in there and they're having drinks and I could see them in the middle. And I'm going. I could tell the energy's high. I hit the joke. People are fucking going nuts. And when I do the line, okay, I just give you the beat, a couple beats of it, and then the joke goes, ladies, let the men teach the book. Right after I got them laughing here, I go, ladies, appreciate the laughter, I really do. But this next joke, some of y'all may not like. But guess what? I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to say something. Right? Somebody's got to say something. The joke is called Let the Men Teach the Boys. Let the men teach the boys. Ladies, sometime in the boy's life, it's a man's job to show him the way of manhood. Okay? Right? I know you don't understand this, but ain't for y'all to understand. Case in point, I'm in my son's life every day to wake him up to go to school. Right? I wrote this joke because my wife said to me, I don't like those. So I have my son here. So I'll make my son a little bit taller just for the joke.
Right.
I wrote this joke for something my wife said to me. She said to me, I don't like the way you're talking to him. Now, mind you, this is my mother-in-law that said this shit.
Right.
I use my wife.
Yeah.
And I'm looking like, this motherfucker right here?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking?
Yeah.
This tall son of a bitch right here?
Yeah.
I said, ladies, we talk to our sons in what is called a command voice. A command voice. That bass you hear, God gave us this voice. He didn't give it to y'all. He gave it to us. Just like he gave us the 10 Commandments. He didn't give women the 10 Commandments. He's giving to y'all. He'll still be arguing with your ass right now today.
That's great, dude.
Right? I say, I go in my son's room and I say, hey, get up. It's time to go to school. I wake him up every morning. I throw another beat in there, and the other beat is, my dad wasn't in my life. My dad sold me my first bike. They laugh. And I go, but I'm in my son's life.
Yeah.
Hey, son, get up. It's time to go to school. She don't hear me say that shit nicely the first time.
Yeah.
Come back in, he's still asleep. What the fuck? Son, get up. It's time to go to school. Right? Come back in the third time, hit him with the bass. Get your ass up. It's time to go to school. I said, ladies, we talk to our sons like that because if they find themselves in prison, they're not going to wake up next fucking morning. They're gonna tell them, get your ass up. It's scout time.
Yeah, right.
If our sons was blessed to serve in our military, they're not gonna wake them up nice. They're not gonna wake them up nice every fucking morning. They're gonna tell them, get your ass up and clean them guns.
Right.
There's the penitentiary and the military for one reason, because they're both designed to do what? Weed out the weak man. Weed out the weak man. And how do they do it? With a command voice. With a command voice. So if you're a woman here tonight, you're not feeling this choke, you the motherfucker I'm talking to. You that woman at home with that 26-year-old boy, pants sagging, tattooed the fuck up, can't get a job, can't hold down a job. Guess why, ladies? Because he don't like the way.
That's great, bro.
The crowd is,
Yeah.
My mother-in-law, I'm always
Yeah, how'd that go?
I was like, yeah, motherfucker, listen to that. My wife didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
That was the beauty of what we do.
Yeah.
She knows all true.
Yeah, yeah.
She's seen that I took some pain and turned it into humor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of my best jokes.
Yeah.
And it's got more beats to it than that, but
Yeah, of course.
it's one of my best jokes.
Yeah, but the nugget of it. Yeah, right on.
Oh, man, and that's the beauty of what we do.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude, that's great. That's a great joke.
Yeah.
And right, everybody can associate with that.
Right.
Especially now, there's so many kids that are sitting around living in their house at the age of 32.
Two looking at them.
You know what I mean?
What's for dinner?
What are you doing? What are you doing the job hunt? I'm trying.
My mom.
It's tough out there, man. Maybe you should get out there before you mention about how tough it is out there.
Maybe you should give it a shot.
Yeah, I know. You hear it's tough out there.
I heard you don't have to go out there.
Yeah.
Right? You can fill out an application online with your phone.
Shit, there's a lot of shit you can do on there. Yeah.
It's no way a kid today, especially a young adult, should not have their own money in their pocket.
Yeah, I know.
There's so many ways to be an entrepreneur, so many ways to make money. Like, I don't understand that.
Well, there's a million ways you can do. But besides side hustles and everything else, all these kids have found ways to make money on the internet. And good for them in a lot of ways. I always question and worry about this OnlyFans shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at these girls that are in their early 20s. In fact, there's an article that just came out. I didn't get a chance to read it. But the NCAA has got a problem with this hot girl thing. Where if you ever watch, there's a lot of these videos where these hot volleyball girls and girls from gymnastics, they got their own Insta pages and all these stuff, and they're not OnlyFans. No, they're not. Most of them are not on OnlyFans, but they have Insta and TikToks, and they've got millions and millions of followers, and they're making tons of money off of their basically how hot they are. That's
wow.
well, there, and a lot of the OnlyFans girls are doing the shit too. And my question on that is, I don't know how that's going to affect us in the long range. Like if you're learning, like it's that issue of women that are hot and gorgeous and use their body and they're really young and they reach an age where they can't do that anymore. What's going to happen? It's almost like a child star.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're going to reach an age of 28, 29 maybe where they can't keep a following. How are they going to handle that mentally?
Right.
What's that going to do to our society as a whole? Because there's a lot of kids, like you say, it's a double-edged sword.
Right.
These kids can make money now at a young age,
Right.
but can they maintain an income through their entire lives, or at least weather the storms of the ups and downs?
Right.
I don't know if they can.
Well,
I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, too. Well, I think it'll affect our society in a lot of ways, where women are doing that, and then they want men to respect their bodies.
Right.
You know, and probably only people are watching are men.
Sure.
You know.
Well, there's not much of that going on right now. Yeah.
Right. You can't say, "Hey, respect me as a woman," and you're not respecting yourself as a woman.
Right.
And you're not doing the things that you want to be respected for.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So it's kind of an oxymoron. Secondly, I think that it's tainting the one of the true values of our relationship, which is relationships. You know, it's hard for a woman to get in a relationship with somebody if you're here on a level of stardom,
Yeah.
and somebody who potentially likes you tell you you're beautiful, and 9,000 motherfuckers just told you you're beautiful.
Right.
You know, it doesn't have the same effect.
What also feeds into the same issue that we've had for years now with the internet is that these young men have learned about relationships with women through porn online.
Exactly.
I mean, most of their way they handle sex now, like when first time a young guy has sex with a woman,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of, it's uncomfortable, even more comfortable for a woman, because
Right.
the guy sees a porn, he thinks that's supposed to be the way it is.
Right.
But when you're a teen, you can watch porn forever on the internet.
Right.
When you start to date, so it's warped our entire early, and throw COVID into that, where these kids lost 2 years of development in relationships.
Right.
I don't know where that leaves us for marriage and relationships moving forward.
I'm watching it. I'm raising it.
Yeah. Well, I got two younger. I'm on the younger scale of that. So in fact, you got two in the 20s, two in the teens.
Yeah.
So you're gonna write two different generations of that.
Bro.
Yeah.
My son right now, I do the joke. My son is handsome. He doesn't know. I promise you, this motherfucker don't know it. I'm not lying to you. I got a joke.
Oh, is he the older one?
He's 21.
21. Right.
This motherfucker.
And you got what? 23, 21, 15,
I got a 22, 21, 15, 13. And 13.
Okay.
All right. My son is handsome as shit, man. And when I tell you he's handsome, he doesn't know it. He don't fucking know it. And he never brings a chick by the house. And it's not that he's gay. Don't get me wrong. If you put some pubic hairs on a hole in the ground, he'll fuck that. This motherfucker is all man, trust me. But he just don't like. He just can't maintain a relationship with a girl. He's super arrogant. Yeah. Right. And he's just, I don't know what the fuck it is. Like, dude, I was chasing ass at 13, 14 years old. What the fuck is a picture of Marcelo ass?
Well, my oldest, my 21-year-old doesn't date at all. Right. My 19-year-old has been in and out of 3 major relationships that almost destroyed her.
Oh my God.
And she just had a breakup last year. Every breakup is like, it's like 6 weeks. It's weeks of tears and torment and everything. So I got one or the other. I got one that doesn't date, and one that.
See, that's.
But my oldest is real. Her thing is she's real picky, and which doesn't bother me. Like she's been on a couple dates where I'm like, "Are you gonna see him again?" And she doesn't like to talk to me about dating, which is cool. I respect that because my thing is when they turn 18, you're an adult. So. And I go, "Are you gonna see him again?" And she'll be like, "No, he only wanted one thing. He's this, he's that, he's that." She reads guys up real quick, right? So she avoids being with shitheads, which is really great. You know what I mean? I would really rather have that.
These are my boys.
All right,
that's my boy. And he's like 6 foot.
Oh, dude, yeah, he's like fucking GQ model.
Right. That's my daughter. That's my 22-year-old. But. So
yeah, look at him, shizzle chin and fucking.
And he's all, this motherfucker is handsome. And I tell him, I'm like, listen, bro, looks is not the problem. Yeah. You know, it's some guys that looking like fucking little. Yeah. It's a guy.
I see some dweeby looking guys.
Yes, it's some suspect looking ass dudes out here with girls. You feel me, bro? And you ain't bringing one real one home. Yeah. Right, he's doing the swipe thing and all this shit and going out.
See, that's another thing that's not good for these kids.
See, that's, come on, man. And it's like, dude, come on, man. Like, my fear of him is he fucking fall in love at 35. Yeah. And don't know shit about a relationship.
Yeah, right. Plus, what kind of love are you falling in at 35?
That's what I'm saying.
This swiping thing isn't helping anything. Dude, if you take away the aspect that we went through of meeting a girl at a party or someone's house and walking up and talking to her, right, getting her number, right, and then stressing over calling her. I'm not trying. This is before text. That's real. Before text, right. When you're going, fuck, I should call. We're going to say one mistake. I'm going to say, okay. I'm going to say, hey, this fucking, how are you, sir? Right. Yeah, the cookout. Yeah. I was wondering if you. Hey, how you doing, sir? But, I mean, that whole, and then you fucking leave a message and you go, oh, fuck, was that okay? Was that okay? Was that good? I should have called back. Maybe I should have called back. Yeah, right? It's a whole, it was an interaction. It was in your face. Or even more when you have somebody out in face to face. Right. There was a fucking, I remember that fear in your chest.
It's real time.
Like, hey, man, I was wondering, oh my God, would you like to go out and get, you know what I mean? That's fucking.
This motherfucker is so, you know what I mean? He's so, I'll explain Marcelo to you. I love him so much because he's the nicest kid ever. I am not gonna lie, but he's super arrogant, and he's like he's direct in what he wants. Yeah, right? And that's fine. But it's just somewhere he gets these girls and they're beautiful, and then they're gone.
Dude, you know what doesn't help is that he's 21 and he's at the age. I think that's the age that was most seriously affected by relationships by COVID. Right. You lost 2 years of dating, relationship, and meeting people. Right. We take all the fucking texting aside, swiping aside, but there was a whole school, hanging out, meeting people. Right. That's taken out. Think about when you were 19.
Watch this. What age did you experience heartbreak?
Oh God! My first real heartbreak was
real.
It was teens. It was
teens.
Yeah, it was teens, bro.
Yeah, you bitch. Yeah. You know what I mean? You didn't know that shit was real. Think about
it. Real heartbreak.
Real heartbreak. Like a girl you liked. And you didn't know that this shit was capable of filling this gap.
Okay, 22. 22 was the first time I had a real fucking kick to the head.
Okay.
I think I had a little bit of senior in high school, but it was more. It
Well,
wasn't
well,
dating.
it made 22 tolerable.
22 was we were seeing each other.
Okay.
18 was someone I was into, and then it just got rejected, and you know, what I mean? So it just never happened.
Okay.
But 18 or 22 was when I was actually with someone
In a relationship and then the breakup.
Yeah, and then it was a breakup.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Mine was at 16.
Okay.
16. You know, I was one of those dudes that were. I got kicked out the house at 15.
Okay.
And so in that transition, I'm dating a girl that I was in love with. You know, and I'm going back and through dealing with that shit. And it was one of those things where, and I get where he get his seriousness from. Like, my grandfather been married to my grandmother for years. My dad was more of a whore. That's fine. But I'm more to think we're more modeled after my grandfather.
Okay.
Right. That's we love strong, and I get that part.
Right.
And I was in a serious relationship at 16. And the girl broke my fucking heart, you know? And that's what actually one of the things that propelled me into the street life.
Right.
Because before then I had dreams, I had goals. Hey, I'm gonna be a football player, I'm playing for the Dallas Cowboys,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
I'm not gonna get into this drugs selling business shit that was going on in my neighborhood. Right. And it's one of the chapters in the book. I said, I'm not gonna get into any of this shit. And then this motherfucker started dating a drug dealer and broke up with me for a dude that I knew.
Oh jeez. Oh jeez.
That
right.
and a dude that I hated.
Right.
Hated, absolutely hated.
Yeah.
And he knew it. So those were the things. But I'm glad I experienced that young is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Because it prepared me for what was to come. That women
Yeah.
are capable of this.
Yeah.
And with him, I would want him to be in a relationship now, so he don't put them on this pedestal that he can't come back from.
Right.
Because, you know, you get that old, you get up in those years, and you can't come back from that. A lot of men can't. A lot of men can't get back into
Yeah.
that. It's
Well,
a
it's
fear
the
that-
2 years. Like I do a whole bit about it in I did a little bit of it last night, but a little bit more of it tomorrow. The clean part is about the COVID thing. The COVID thing really fucked these kids up. Yeah, I think it affected the way it took them. It took away an opportunity for them to have that feeling.
That feeling.
And then if you move into 21, you've almost got arrested development. Now it's delayed even more because you're approaching at 21 almost like an 18-year-old in your head,
Right.
a 19-year-old.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you're off. You're a little bit off.
Right.
So you're unsure of yourself. And you don't. It's all skewed now. It's all going to be skewed for these kids moving forward. So it's
Right. Yeah, it's going to be strange to see the outcome of what the internet is having on them as
Right.
adults and relationships, and how we're going to move forward as a country, and because if you think, we talked about this too, that our fathers were men, you
Right.
know? They went out and did the shit while the wives were taken care of.
right.
You know, but more importantly, the family still moved as a unit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, today's kids don't want a family.
Right.
You know, I don't want to bring a kid into this world. Like, what?
Yeah.
You gonna kill my bloodline?
Yeah.
You have fear, bro. You know, other countries are not thinking like that. I don't know if they are, if they're not, but I think some countries still have the traditional man, father, wife.
Most a lot of them do.
You're gonna have kids. You're gonna keep the bloodline going. You know.
Yeah.
Here it is. I'm fucking on a Tuesday and swipe, fucking her on Wednesday, and that's what my son is doing.
Yeah.
No real relationships. You know, he got his little app. He swipe. He goes to park somewhere. I'm like, you actually fucking a girl in a car?
Yeah.
And they're okay with it.
Yeah.
And the girl seems to be okay with it too.
I don't know, man. My daughter's 21, so I worry about that shit too. But like I said, she doesn't date that much.
This dude is like he's like a probably like, you know, you get a little dingle on your fish. That's what happens on his phone. You know, you go fishing, you get a little.
I gotta go. There you go. What are you running here for?
You know, you get that little thing on your fishing pole. Motherfucker's out. I know, he got some, he hit a swipe, he done got a little.
Yeah.
He done got some
Big. He's got a notification right in his pocket.
Yeah.
Runs away from the fork is still hanging in the air as he's out the door. Fling! Like fucking cartoon. Like Wile E. Coyote.
Get up. dressed ready though.
Yeah.
He dressed ready all day.
All day, just in case you get the call. I'll be back in 25 minutes.
By the way, you got $30. I'm not paying for you to get ass. Get the fuck out of here. Do it the old-fashioned way. And my father-in-law was with it. Like, why don't you just let him just go by? I said, listen, Dad, why can't he just get it the old-fashioned way?
Yeah.
Now I know where he's getting it from. This one.
Sure. All right.
Why can't he get it the old-fashioned way? He said, well, what do you mean the old-fashioned way? I said, take the girl out to dinner and tell a few fucking lies.
Yeah.
You in there.
Yeah.
Well, girls today are not like that. Now, I don't give a fuck. They all are like that. Tell me they're not. I know I'm paying for it, but the cash up front,
Yeah.
I have a problem with that. No, son. It's going to tell a few lies.
Well, does he have a job? Is he working?
My son's at Berkeley.
He's still in school, right?
He's a lawyer, yeah.
Dude, badass. Berkeley.
Yeah,
Fucking good looking and a lawyer.
Oh,
Look
yeah.
at him, man.
Oh, yeah. Now you know we're getting all this
Yeah.
section from.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's like, that is like a buffet. I don't need a girlfriend. I said, okay, motherfucker.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's at Berkeley. He's studying to be a lawyer, man. So I'm not sweating that. As long as he's getting those good grades and he's moving forward,
Yeah.
he's doing that. We're good.
All right. Good for him, man.
Yeah.
Congrats. Good for you, dude.
Oh,
It's nice, man.
Yeah, I don't fucking have a choice. So.
Yeah.
Do not. I don't give a shit with nobody. You don't have a choice. You're going to school, motherfucker. That's that. If I'm going to bust my ass, you're going to bust your ass when you're done.
Yeah, I know. My oldest just graduated Cal State Northridge.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
And my youngest is going to beauty school next year. I made her go to college for a year and then just to figure out what she wants to do. But I'm like, they live with me. They live in my house.
Right.
And I pay all the bills. And I'm like, I'll pay the bills as long as you're going to school.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Exactly. I have one from a previous marriage, and I'll tell you about this shit was so fucking funny. So, sometimes I'm such a man's man, dad, if you want to say, because this is what I would wanted in a dad.
Okay.
Like my grandfather. My grandfather's a fucking man's man.
Right.
You know, this dude.
Yeah. It's one of those old guys who changed a tire by himself.
Yes.
Like a broken jack.
Get a mouse, get a gopher trap stuck on his finger. Stop!
Yeah. Yeah, see? It's no big deal. Yeah. There's no problem. They just fucking. It's just gonna take me a little bit longer.
Yeah. You can see the white meat like that.
Yeah.
I can see the bone.
Yeah.
So I'm that dude sometimes, and I get it, and I think that's what I want on my boy. So my son from a previous marriage come to stay with us, right? And he got mad at me because he said that I told him that he was I told him he had woman tendencies.
To your son?
Yeah, my son.
Okay.
He's a man's too. He's not
right.
He's not going that route. But and he's like, I don't understand what you mean I have woman tendencies. I said, well, it's very simple. When I'm chastising you about coming to stay with us, you need to get a job, and I tell you all these things, and the way I do my boys is I don't just go crazy and go off on them. I try to do it manly as I possibly can. I say, hey son, look, we'll talk about this on Thursday.
Right.
We're gonna be at this restaurant now. He's older. He's like 25.
Okay.
So we're gonna be at this restaurant on Thursday. Okay. You are going to we'll talk about this, and that. Okay.
Right.
Be prepared. And that may be 3 days, or sometimes maybe a week. So he already knows all week. My dad and I are gonna have to sit down and we can get in this serious ass conversation about whatever it is that I need to talk to him about.
Mm-hmm.
And I already let him know. Right? So he has a whole week to prepare. And every time, sometimes he likes to try to talk to me as if he's talking to his mother. I get his mother raised him, and that's why I say you have man tendencies, because you're not approaching me like a man. You want to give me all of this sad song shit, like it's and getting emotional in a conversation.
It's almost like way on your heartstrings.
Exactly.
Right.
And you think it's going to have the same effect on me as it have on your mother.
Yeah, and you're coming through with the problem-solving man state of mind.
Exactly.
A, B, C, D, E.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's no. But D squared.
This motherfucker.
I heard Mike. No. There's no D squared.
Man, motherfucker goes. I know it when the tears are starting to drop. I just sit there very calmly and go, okay. Did somebody die?
Yeah.
In this conversation?
Yeah.
He goes, no. I'm like, well, why the fuck are you crying? Well, I said, no. That wasn't for you to answer.
Yeah.
That was for you to stop.
Yeah.
Because I don't give 2 fucks why you're crying.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the conversation, right? So that's kind of how I talk to him. But if I as a man truly ask him, why are you crying? Then what you're gonna do? You're gonna attack me emotionally. You're gonna give me all these emotional reasons why you upset, or some reason that some shit done happened to you in your childhood, and really, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
You know. Then you're gonna give me all that bullshit, and I don't want that. I want to stay right here where we are.
Yeah.
So then he tries to respond in a man way and says shit like, "Well, Dad, you know, I can only talk to you in basketball terms because that's what I relate to. I'm a basketball player and I can talk to you." I said, "Well, shit, I understand basketball. Give it to me. Give me your best shot."
Yeah.
He goes, "Well, see, Dad, the reason why it's hard for me to get a job and go out there and do what I want to do because see, you're like the coach, and I'm like the star player, right? And the coach wants the star player to take the shots that he wants him to take, but the star player can only take the shots that he know he can make." I said, "Okay, that's a good analogy, but let me respond to that. First of all, you're not the star player in this house. In this house, my daughter Maya is. She has 2 jobs. She has a job,
Yeah.
and she's putting herself through school.
Yeah. Oh,
I bet they
shit.
pay anything for her.
Yeah, that's badass.
Right?
Yeah.
She's 4 years younger, you 5 years younger than you.
Right.
Right? And I really have to tell her anything. So on this team, in my eyes, that's what I've been training her to do her whole life. And she's my star player because she does both. Now, you're more like, I want to say the franchise player, right? Easy to be traded, right? Because for the simple fact that you're living here rent free. You don't have a job. You keep getting these little small ass jobs. You want to go back to school. You're doing all of these things. But see, yes, I'm the coach. And I'm the coach because I know the shots that I missed. And I'm watching you take and miss those same shots. I said, but I'm not only just the coach. I'm the owner of the fucking team. And I want fucking results.
Yeah.
That's man logic.
Yeah. God, I don't know how I would approach if I had boys. I handle my daughters completely differently.
Completely.
Dude, we've been in therapy, or family therapy, and they get emotional, they cry, and I talk about everything they go through. And I'm in therapy with them, and I'm like, I don't want to be this prick father that's being shitty to his daughters. And then this generation, they're so, they're certain, they're very sensitive about everything, man. Like, a great example, my daughters, they're in Europe. I told you they went to Europe.
Yeah.
My oldest daughter, believe it, her fucking phone crashed on the way there. She landed in Poland. And she called me her sister's phone. She goes, "There's a black screen with an arrow and I can't get anything." I go, "Sounds like your phone crashed." And she's fucking lost it. She just lost it. And I go, I'm like, and so they land, so she's crying, she's upset. I go, "Yeah, this sucks." I go, "I don't have a proper answer for it." I go, "But it sucks." Right. I go, "But now you need to let it go." Right. I go, "Are you going to let this whole trip suck because of your phone?" So call me when you get to Zagreb. So they call me 3 hours later. She's still crying. I go, "No, why are you still crying?" I go, "Just go to an Apple store." So I go, "Look, go to an Apple store. You've got insurance. Tell them you need a phone. There's Apple's fucking worldwide.
Exactly.
There's no Apple stores here." I'm sitting on the phone talking to him. I go, "I just Googled 3 Apple stores within 5 miles of you right now in Zagreb." Where I did it. I'm in the middle of the ocean.
Right.
I go, "Look, I know they get upset and they just go, 'Oh, it's not going to work.'" Yes. And then not only do I give them mention the solutions, but I look it up and I'm like, "Here it is." I go, "Look, just take the steps." I go, "These are solvable problems."
Right.
But again, I got the man mind,
right.
But I'm trying to break it to the daughter that's crying, and I'm like, "Look," I go, "You can solve this problem.
Right.
You can do." And I always say that the thing they hate to hear is I go, "Look, whatever your question is, type it into Google. Right. Or whatever question you ask me, type it into Google. You will actually find the information yourself on the internet. Right. It'll just take you some time." Right. So they're upset, and they go, "Okay, so look," I go, "You can get an upgrade, all kinds of shit you can do. Right. But you got to do it. Right. I go, "I can't do it from a shed." Right. I go, "It's gonna take a couple of days." Yeah, it is. It's gonna take a couple of days.
You'll live.
I told you it sucks. It's not great, but you got to solve it. Right. But it's like the fucking end of the world. Right. And I go, "Look, man, I'm real good about it. Like when shit happens like that, you just gotta go, well, fuck it. What am I going to do? Right. I'm going to walk around and fucking hyperventilate about it all day, and cry and whine? What do we do? It is what it is." I go, "Don't let this ruin your trip to Europe." Right. I go, "Just have a good time and try to take a deep breath, and you'll figure it out."
That's why this is and this is the thing that I do know men are from Mars and women are from Venus type of shit. It's because Only it make it relate to what you're saying.
Yeah, I know. You can explain. I just had a problem with my wife before I got divorced, which I learned in therapy afterwards. If I learned it before, maybe I wouldn't have got divorced.
Right.
But I had the whole. I read Men Are From Mars when we were kids, and I understood the difference. I understand the problem solving.
Right.
I understand the emotions.
Right.
Sometimes they just want to be heard, and you're always like, well, if you just blah 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 blah.
Right.
It just seems so much easier to
That's
us.
Bro. What's the problem?
It's so much easier to us. You're like, well, just do it. Like you go right back. Like if you had a paper in the '60s, you blah, 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 blah.
Right.
You just read your paper. And they're crying.
I bet you. There's no. I want to know if there's statistics on this shit. And I don't mean to sound be male ego about it, but I want to know if there's statistics about this. At what year what decade were we the most prosperous? Not prosperous, but
prosperous.
Okay. Decade. What decade did we grow the most? What decade were we most profitable as far as developing as a society and getting more out of the world and life? I would love to know.
The 80s, maybe?
You think it was the 80s?
The 50s or the 80s? Because there's two different. The 50s is because everything changed in the 60s.
Right.
But the 80s was the decade of greed. And the 80s was more corporations taking off. And making their money. And the tax rate that changed with Reagan and stuff.
Kind of what we're experiencing right now with the...
Yeah. And the 50s was much more family. In fact, 50s was all... One person had a job, everybody had a house, everybody had a car, family, it was a different vibe,
Right. And I'm saying, as a country, with the man leading the household, were we more prosperous then as opposed to now? Were the women?
Yeah, that's a good point. But the problem with that is that the only thing about that is that fucking politicians, the 1% has made that difficult on everyone. The average rate of pay hasn't lifted at all since '71, barely. But the top CEOs in the countries make 600 times more money than they did back then. Right. I mean, the corporations make more money than families do. Right. And most of the time, two parents got to work. I mean, it's almost impossible for one guy to raise a family. Not in LA, but maybe somewhere else in the country. Right. But that's almost and I don't know if that's so much. That's not society. I think that's more the way the tax laws have been written and the way the corporations are running. Because it's just, look at the way they've treated unions in the last year. Look at what the writers' union going through right now. Wow. You know what I mean? These unions get less and less respect as time goes by. Well, Well,
a lot of things are happening as well. You know what I mean? As far as, it's hard for the unions to survive in the world of people just doing their own shit. Yeah. What do you need the union for and pay those highest prices when you got, you don't even have to make a movie in California anymore. Right. You can go just about anywhere. You don't need all the cameras and all the equipment that these dudes operate and do anymore. You got these fucking little GoPros and shit that the people aren't even watching television shows anymore like they used to watch sitcoms. Yeah, right. Sitcoms are just becoming fucking boring. Right. To the 3-second mind motherfuckers these days. Yeah. No one can appreciate good writing. Right. Like we could and watch the shows and watch the sketch shows.
Right, and what you've been doing, you get tired of the sitcom, the formula gets too old. The formula's dead. Even the detective show, I used to love every detective show on TV. I could sit around and watch Law and Order forever. Right. But once the formula gets stuck in my head, I'm like, I can't watch this anymore. It's just too. I know exactly what's going to happen in the next 4 minutes. It's like I'll watch brainless TV sometimes, but I can't. I'm like, oh, I get it. This guy's not the bad guy. I know he's the guy. You think he's the bad guy.
Right, he's switching on you.
It's his brother, and then okay,
you done solved it.
Yeah, I solved it in 4 minutes sometimes. Where I'm like, oh, that's the guy that did it.
You got it.
Like the only exceptions, I watched that Law and Order: Criminal Intent with Vincent D'Onofrio. His acting in that show is so phenomenal. The character is so good. It's just an obscure, weird character that he was brilliant at. So I could watch that character.
Which one? Who?
Vincent D'Onofrio. He played Kingpin in Punisher, and he's been in a million things. He was in not the last Jurassic Park, but the one before that. He got killed. He was the guy that ran the whole money thing. Got eaten alive by the. He's done a million great roles. But he's a great actor. He was in that. And it was Law and Order, but it was with a different twist where it showed you from the criminal's mind first. But he was an actor that he was a cop that was a psychologist. Okay. And he was brilliant the way he performed the character.
Did you see what's his name? John Mulaney? What's his name from Chicago?
John Mulaney.
John Mulaney.
Mulaney?
Mulaney, is it Mulaney?
I don't know. I think so.
Yeah.
Actor?
Comedian. Yeah, is it John? What's his name?
Stand up?
Yeah, young cat.
Oh, he's from New York, isn't he?
I thought he was from
Is it the old writer for SNL?
No, he's the one got the diner bar bit.
The diner bar bit. I know the name. It's drawn a blank.
Oh,
okay,
he's so fucking funny. I like this young kid.
I think I know who he is. All right.
But he has a bit about Law and Order. You ever seen it?
I don't think so.
But it is fucking funny as shit.
Oh, really? All right, good.
He goes, he said, I love Law and Order. He said, but you just get tired of recurring characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, and every one of them is the guy wiping the bar.
Yeah.
while being interviewed for a murder.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. He came here about 3 weeks ago. That shit is so funny.
I feel like that's the guy.
Yeah. So he goes over the character. He says the guy that won't stop loading crates when being questioned by the police.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was here about 3 weeks.
Ah, dude, I played the role a dozen times. That was my first role on TV. I was a garbage man. Yeah, I saw him drive around there. Thing.
Yeah, that shit was so
Came
funny.
flying around like a man.
Yeah, he said, dude. He said, stop loading the crates. You being questioned about a murder. He does some shit like that. That shit is so funny.
No, that's the best. That's funny.
I love dudes like that. I love dudes that are just so fucking original. I can't but laugh, man.
All right, dude, let's wrap this up, man. We hit an hour 15. That was
All
great.
right, brother, for sure.
Dude, that was great. I
Oh,
can't
man.
thank you enough for...
For sure, bro,
Dude,
for sure.
look at that camera that's been running and throw your socials out, whatever you want to plug.
Man, it's your boy, Comedian Eric Blake. You can catch me on all social media sites, Comedian Eric Blake 21 on IG, Comedian Eric Blake on Facebook, and just about Comedian Eric Blake on just about everything. And don't forget to get the book, How I Survived South Central.
Right on. Eric Blake, man. All right, thank you, brother. Thanks. I'll see you later tonight.
All right, definitely.
You're still watching? That's amazing. Nobody does that. Nobody, but you did. That means you want more. Pick one of these clips. Go for it. I dare you. Hey, also follow one of those social media thingies.